Hello, everyone. I figured I'd do this little tidbit off the side. Figured I'd show you guys where to go get the mod. You can see the link up there on the top left side of the video. Otherwise, just type in ties that bind in the search engine of the Fallout 3 Nexus. Um, I'm actually going to also share a little bit of thoughts on Fallout 3, its expansions, etc. Now, Fallout 3, great game. I'm going to talk more about the expansions really than anything, because Fallout 3, everybody agrees, it's a great game and it did well. The only gripe I have about it is the ending. It has nothing to do with like what happens throughout the story. It has to do with just how it kind of concludes. Now I know it kind of portrays you as like you're the hero. You did what you set out to do and you sacrificed yourself. But the Broken Steel mod brings you back to life so that you can really just finish off the Enclave for good and all that other jazz. But in theory, they could have gone with not doing that. But I'm glad that they did. I like that they did. I like the Broken Steel add-on. It was fun, and it really brought closure, I guess, to the whole thing. I have two possible theories with the Ties That Bind mod that includes Amanda. And that is, if you don't bring her with you when you're doing the assault on the Project Purity, I'm thinking that she won't die because you left her behind. She's not there. Another theory is that you don't even, and this one's kind of pointless, but you don't rescue her until, you don't rescue her from the slavers until you actually complete this one. Again, though, that kind of ruins the whole experience from the get-go. And another theory, or a third theory rather, is that there are certain dialogue options that you can pick that will allow her to live. I don't know which ones they are. So I can't really say. I looked through the posts of like all the forums and stuff, but um, if she did live, okay. If not, I felt like it added a good dramatic effect to the overall flow of the story. I kind of went silent for a moment because I'm like, I don't know how I should react to this because I really wasn't expecting it, and I'm not even joking. When I think I say it later on in the Let's Play or on the same video is that I did not expect her to die. If I expected her to die, it would have been when you have the option to either send Alliance in or you. However, yeah, at the same time, it's like that would kind of ruin the whole cinematic. It's like, well, it would imply that you went in, not your sister. So, but otherwise, the mod I thought was phenomenal. The voice acting was great. I think the only gripe I have about it is that the dad kind of doesn't really acknowledge her existence at all, which I was thinking, maybe he could at least, or maybe they could include some dialogue. I know you can't get Liam Neeson's voice, but even just like a oh hey or something like that. I don't know how that would have worked, but otherwise the mod's great. I'd give it, if I had to give it a score like out of 10, I'd give it about a 9 out of 10. It's a great mod. I recommend if you want it, go for it. But if you have other companions you prefer, like if you prefer Lucy West, or if you prefer wow, or if you prefer like somebody like maybe Harkness or something like that, go for it. And there's plenty of mods on this website. There are some that Necro uses that I wanted to use. Unfortunately, either they're not there anymore, or I just cannot seem to find them. Uh, and then I'm going to talk. Now I'm going to talk about the expansions and how I didn't really like any of them except for the pit. And Point Lookout was an average one at best. I felt like the expansions was more of you buying the items you get as opposed to actually buying the expansion itself, because the expansion doesn't offer any kind of new experience. Zeta especially, that was garbage, absolute garbage. Now I know this game is like 5 years old now, so it's kind of pointless to really gripe about it. But this can be used to infer like, hey, this is what we should have for Fallout 4 when that comes out, and that is expand upon the world that we're in. Now, Operation Anchorage, while it felt more like a first-person shooter as opposed to the Fallout experience where the narratives and the dialogue is really like one of the driving points. The story is the driving point of this game. The action's fun and all, but the story is what drives it. It's what makes you want to play the game in the first place. If I wanted to play a shooter, I'd just pick up Call of Duty and play it or something like that. And with what was the other one? Actually, I played all of them. So we played Operation Anchorage first, then I did Project Zeta. Like I said, I wanted to get the worst of them out of the way, but I've ranted about Zeta for too long now. Point Lookout, I felt like that's what all the other expansions should have been. Like, Anchorage should have been you fighting against, like, Chinese, maybe some wildlife of some kind, for variation. and or maybe just have you fighting like this big full scale battle. It didn't need to be all this little infiltration stuff that just kind of amounted to nothing in the end. And I mean, yeah, you assault that refinery, which goes on to lead to the victory of Anchorage. But did it really tell you anything you didn't already know? I mean, do you really care how Anchorage was won? I didn't. I didn't really care. It's just, oh, there was a war and America won. Okay, that's all I needed to know. A little backstory, like as to how the nuclear war even started. Maybe Anchorage should have been how, like, the nuclear war, maybe the build up to the nuclear war, like what really drove it to be, what caused it, and maybe just have you interact with people, maybe fight some Chinese or some Russians or something like that. That would have been fine. But I would have preferred to have seen that rather than just the liberation of Anchorage and how that thing got going. But with Point Lookout, as I was trying to get to in the first place, the only gripes I had about it were the enemies that you fight. I mean, okay, I get the hills have eyes, guys, but those should have been like the basic of basic enemies. They should have been just, the basic ones that really just don't really deal a lot of damage, but they're there in numbers and they're there to annoy you, kind of like how the Raiders are. They should have been the Raiders of that. And you have these tribals, which I don't really get the tribals. I mean, yeah, there's that wild fruit that makes them high or whatever, and then you have that brain that manipulates them and all that other stuff, but it didn't really sell me on anything. The only part of it I liked was that ghoul that you work with, whose name escapes me. He was the only cool part of that entire thing. Oh, and the whole Black Hall guy and the quest to get that book out of Point Lookout and to the Dunwich building to end that. I thought that was a nice reference to like Cthulhu and H.P. Lovecraft stuff. Now with the pit, the only gripe I can ever say about that was that it was just too short. I think I may have breezed through it. I didn't really explore it thoroughly, but I felt like that overall EXP was short, and but it nailed what I felt like a Fallout expansion should have been. It otherwise nailed it because it felt like a Fallout expansion. The other three, not so much. So that being said, the main point of this video is just me talking about the Ties That Bind mod and then just my thoughts on the expansions, which I think everybody was not really a big fan of too many of the expansions. I think the Pit and Broken Steel were the only ones that really got any kind of pop with people, but I think Point Lookout kind of got hit or miss reactions, but I think it's almost unanimously agreed that Zeta was the absolute worst one. I know there's a few that like it, and there is nothing wrong with liking any of these expansions or hating them. If you hate the Pit, fine. If you like Zeta, fine. That's totally your opinion. Mine is, that I like the Pit. I liked, to a certain extent, I liked Point Lookout, and then I liked Broken Steel, but I did not like Zeta or Operation Anchorage. So, with that being said, with the Fallout 3 expansion done and pretty much sealed up, I'm going to go and start looking for mods to use for Fallout New Vegas, kind of get a little guideline, because that's what I did with Fallout 3. Because I've recorded this, I had recorded this Let's Play like roughly 2 or 3 times before I got this one actually rolling. And that's because the first time I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I'm like, well, where am I going? Like, what is the overall objective here? Didn't really have one. I was just wandering around because I couldn't find stuff. And then the other 2 attempts, it's like I had crashes. I tried using other mods that kind of conflicted with each other, and I had to do this process of elimination. It was just a fucking mess. So I had to uninstall the game, delete all the mods I had downloaded. I saved the zip files, so I didn't lose anything. And then I kept the ones that I knew had worked before, so that's what I did with those. But anyway, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the Let's Play. I enjoyed doing it, and look forward to New Vegas in the near future.